That means we're in favor of peace, we're in favor of the status quo. There are, however, always going to be people in the world who see themselves as losers, who don't like the status quo, and who try to disrupt it. If they have no other means, they will try to disrupt it by force.
Is it merely status quo, or is it in our best interest that this way of life that you describe, dealing with democracy and markets and individualism, isn't it in our best interest that philosophy be extended as well as maintained?
It is in the general interest that it should be extended so far as it can be extended. I think there's a certain optimistic feeling that ultimately the whole world will be like us, will think like us, that the Anglo-Saxon type democracy is going to be the answer for everybody, irrespective of their race or culture. That is something that I myself do not necessarily believe. I think cultures are too diverse. I don't think that Western type democracy goes down necessarily in Islamic states. I don't think it goes down necessarily in Confucian states. All of them have got their own ways of doing things. What matters is that we should have a global system in which they all, whatever their philosophy, feel comfortable and are comfortable with one another.
Well, yeah, I would certainly not be in favor of imposing an external culture, but if you have a global situation now where, for example, American movies and television are dominant, they are everywhere. I mean, I guess in Europe, 80% of the box office receipts are going to American movies, and the same is true in these non-Western countries. I mean, give or take a few percent here or there in Japan, in Asia, in parts of the Muslim world. Isn't it plausible that given this communications revolution, that these ideas will indeed spread globally?
Well, the image which is projected of the United States by your media is not one which is universally welcome, acceptable, or admirable. I think everybody enjoys watching American movies. I think everybody enjoys the American culture as it is spread, but the lifestyle which is depicted there, the human relations which are depicted there, cause genuine shock and disapproval. To my mind, not unnaturally. In, say, Japan or in China or in India, they don't want to be like Americans if America is as it is depicted on Hollywood movies.
What should America's role in the world be now? I mean, the Cold War is over. For most of this century, we Americans and the modern industrial democracies had a clear cause. There was totalitarianism of the right and of the left, and it was clearly defensive. With all that change now, what ought we be doing, and why?
Can I answer this by saying what I think America is doing, whether or not it ought to be, and then perhaps we might look at the ought side of it. America is still infinitely the most powerful community in the world. It is the only superpower. It is deeply engaged throughout the world, whether it likes to be or not. There are occasional nostalgic hankerings after isolationism in certain areas of the United States, but it is impossible. You've gone too far. Your economy is too tied up with that of the rest of the world. Your culture, as you quite rightly say, is tied up to the rest of the world. You are part of a world community. Now, as part of the world community and as the most powerful element in the world community, you are enormously influential whether you want to be or not. And it has always struck me that the American elites, the intellectual elites, business elites, all the rest, are very happy about being involved and indeed are very active in enhancing this involvement. There is, I would have thought, practically nowhere in the world where the United States is not heavily involved economically, socially, culturally. Certainly in all the trouble spots of the world that one goes to, the money which the United States is pouring into it, the goodwill, the technical know-how is immense. And that seems to me what you are doing and what you ought to be doing. That is to say, using American wealth, technology, expertise to assist the rest of the world to identify its problems, help to solve them insofar as you can. Now, sometimes I think we tend to go overboard in believing that the American model, as you indicated a little earlier, is going to be all right for everybody. And the American desire to spread democracy throughout the world is something about which I always have certain doubts. But the American
But
desire...
I mean, isn't it useful to not to inflict it, but to offer it?
Oh, well, it is there. I mean, whether you offer it or not, it's people can see it. If they like it, they will take it. So I don't think you need push that one. But I think that what does need to be offered, and is always on offer, is American know-how, American technology, American money, all those things to be available to the
A lot
rest
of that
the
is
world.
related culturally to American openness and American political democracy. I mean, those things don't operate, I don't think, in isolation.
That again is, if I may say so, a certain conventional wisdom. But one only has to go to somewhere like Singapore to see a country which is very prosperous and very happy and booming economically, but does not believe in American political standards and does very well without them. I would have thought probably the same will apply in the People's Republic of China indefinitely. The American desire to turn the People's Republic of China into a Western-style democracy, observing all human rights as we understand them, does seem to me to be totally counterproductive.
Well, if you look down the road a decade or two or three, and you say, who could possibly threaten this global democratic alliance that we enjoy? It seems to me you come up with China, that is the biggest alien force in the world, and that would be a much more amicable situation if the Chinese, they don't have to be, have an American political system, certainly not. But if they had a more open, more democratic situation, wouldn't that be safer for us?
Well, it would be a great deal nicer, but don't expect that you're going to get it. I think that it's not a black and white situation that we're looking at. On the one hand, you have got a peaceful, democratic, cooperative China. On the other hand, you have a totalitarian, threatening China. I think that there is a wide spectrum of possibilities in between, and I do not see why one is not going to have a continuing authoritarian China and a prosperous China, and a China which is competing in many respects with the United States, but whose economy is involved with the United States as closely as that is other parts of the world, in which there is no threat as such. Again, one of the problems, it seems to me, is that, if I may say so, Americans are always looking for threats. Okay, there's no threat now. When's the next one coming up? Well, why should there be one coming up?
Sir Michael, you said that Americans are always looking for threats. Speaker Gingrich said something recently that I'd like your comment on. He said, "You do not need today's defense budget to defend the United States. You need today's defense budget to lead the world. If you are prepared to give up leading the world, we can have a much smaller defense system." And it seems to me the thought you raised about a threat and what Speaker Gingrich is saying are related. If there is no threat to the United States, how do we go to the American public at an election time and say, oh, by the way, please drop $250 billion per year into the Pentagon? Why should we do that?
Well, frankly, it does seem to me that you are spending an unnecessarily large amount on your defense budget, for the very simple reason that having built up a defense structure of that kind, it's extraordinarily difficult to exit without causing a great deal of unhappiness and economic dislocation to all the interests involved in keeping it going. And if you were to start from scratch now, I very much doubt whether you would have the size and the structure and the expense of the armed forces which you at present have.
Do you think that America today is a declining power or an ascendant power? We had a great big argument about that in the States. Is America in decline? And everybody was crying.
I don't accept either of those adjectives. I think it is a changing power. It's a changing power reacting to a changing world. You did achieve an enormous military presence and capability in facing down the Russians, which you very successfully did.
No, we did. We the NATO alliance.
It's very kind of you to say so, but basically the Americans did. I mean, it was American technology and power, and it would be nice if the Europeans had contributed more, but I'm afraid we didn't contribute all that much. No, you did it. As a result, you grossly overextended yourself and overspent yourselves, and you've now got very considerable problems as a result of balancing your budget out after that. But although you are now deeply in the red and are getting more deeply in the red because you find it impossible to cut things for political reasons, to cut the things that you ought to cut, you still are the major maximal power force, I would say, in the world. And you're not declining in relation to anybody else. And if there is nobody out there by whom you can assess whether you're rising or declining, as I said, these are no longer really relevant considerations.